Hey, it's Rafael Cintron here, and after doing citizenship by investment and acquiring a second passport by investing into it, by buying it, I want to tell you the most important step and the most important factor that you should consider when it comes to doing citizenship by investment. There's about 9 countries in the world, 8 countries that offer citizenship right now, 1 more country that is being added to the list. I recently made a video on the best citizenship programs in the world, and all of them require one specific thing that tripped me up, made me have to spend a lot of more time, a lot of more money, a lot of more energy. And thanks to a lawyer that I actually worked with, he was able to resolve it. But I don't want you to go through the same pain that I went through in this process. And that particular step was the banking and the banking proof. All these citizenship by investment programs, they really want to make sure that they work with people that are not money laundering, they're not hiding money, they're not using the citizenship as a means to escape their government, something like this. They want to make sure that you're legitimately using the citizenship for travel, for maybe renouncing your US citizenship, that you're doing it in a legitimate way. And what they'll obviously ask for your birth certificate, they will ask for your diploma. If you're married, they'll ask for your marriage certificate. If you have dependents, for dependency proof. Basically, the thing that stepped me up, or that actually made me spend a lot of more time, a lot of more energy, was the banking proof, which is a banking confirmation letter, client confirmation letter, a balance confirmation letter, and then the bank accounts need to match each other. So just to tell you my story, I have a bank account in the United States and a bank account here in Dubai in the UAE, and I was planning to pay with my US bank account. So whatever bank account you choose to actually make the payment, where you're making the application, be extremely careful and diligent into which bank account you're going to pick. If you pick that bank account, you can't change it. You can't say, oh no, I have a new bank account, I prefer to pay with this one. You have to pay with that one. You have to show the balance. For example, in the case of St Kitts, which was my program, $150,000 donation, I needed to show the balance of that $150,000 and a little bit more, just to prove to them that I actually have that money there. You have to prove it in the bank account that you actually run the application with. You can't say, oh, I have the balance in another account, I have the balance in crypto and real estate. They're not going to take that. So you need to actually consider which bank account am I using for the application, and make sure that the older the bank account, the better. If you've had that bank account for 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, your life will be a lot easier than if you had that bank account for 2 to 3 months. The bank account in Dubai, in the UAE, that I wanted to, or actually ended up using, was about 5 or 6 months old. The US one was 2 years old, but I didn't have enough money there because I transferred it to the UAE account. So what they had me prove is the source of funds. They will actually also make you prove the source of funds, where's the money coming from. If you got it randomly one day and you just decided to pay it, that's going to cause a lot of red flags. So I had to prove where the money came from, actually showing that the money was transacted from the US account to the UAE account and how it was passed and transferred, and then provide a balance confirmation letter from my bank here in the UAE with the balance that I had to pay for it, and a client confirmation letter, which is basically a letter that says this person with this name and this date of birth has an account in our company or an account in our bank with this number. And then the balance confirmation letter is this bank account has this much balance in it. So they match the two, and they basically tell you, okay, you are legitimate. Your bank has you as a client in this letter, and you also have that balance there. Now be extremely careful, because for example, my bank account in the US, I was planning to use that bank account, and I called up my bank in the US and I told them, oh, can I get this client confirmation letter? Can I get this balance confirmation? They said, sure, you can get it, but you need to come to our branch, and we only have branches in the United States. They had a branch in London, but they closed it. And now they told me, come to the United States, we'll process it within 30 days. So I had to go to the US. I didn't actually ended up going, but they told me to go to the US, wait a month and maybe a little bit more, and then have those letters. So in the US, banks are pretty slow. If you had experience with the US banks, they are quite slow compared to foreign banks. And in that process, I decided, okay, I'm not going to use my US bank. I'm going to use my UAE bank. So I transferred the rest of the funds over to the UAE bank. The balance confirmation letter, the client confirmation letter took about 7 days, which was pretty simple. So make sure that the bank that you're using is not a bank that you're not using anymore, or maybe you're far away from the country where that bank is if they don't have branches anywhere else in the world. And the other thing was that I was actually in Dubai working with my lawyer, which is an amazing lawyer. If you want help with this and you want my lawyer contacts, you can book a call with me. I'm happy to give you the contacts. And that particular lawyer actually went to St Kitts and they told him that balance confirmation and that client confirmation, we need the original. And I was actually traveling out of Dubai, out of the UAE, when St Kitts requested the original. So I didn't know what to do. I called my bank and I said, hey, can you please give me the original, or can you give it to my lawyer, or can you just give it to somebody in charge so that I can write a letter and that person will come up and pick that document? They said, no, you need to come here to the branch with your ID and pick up the original. It'll take about 3 to 5 days. And I was not gonna come to Dubai because I was actually pretty far. I think I was in Europe or Western Europe when that happened. And I wasn't gonna just come to Dubai to pick up that letter, give it to my lawyer. My lawyer actually pushed St. Kitts to accept the scanned document, not the original, the scanned one for the balance confirmation and the client confirmation, and they actually accepted it. So that's something that you do need to keep in mind when you're going through this process. Whichever bank account you are using, make sure it's in a country that is easily accessible. If you are choosing a country where you don't live there anymore, you're not going to go there, better use a country where you're actually there, you're very close to it, you maybe know one of the managers or your relationship manager at the bank that they can process these things pretty quickly, because they can take 30, 60 days. And in the meantime, while that's getting processed, maybe your police certificate expires, or maybe your health certificate. And for example, in St. Kitts, I had to do an HIV test, and that health certificate is valid for 3 months. So maybe that expires in the meantime while I'm getting my balance confirmation. So you do need to be very careful when it comes to the banking. And also, when you submit the application, you need to have the balance in the account. If you're submitting, for example, for St. Kitts, $150,000, have that $150,000 in the bank when you are doing the application. Don't think, oh, I can sell some crypto later when they tell me to pay and I'm approved, or I can sell my real estate, or I can just transfer money in. You need to have it in one bank account. All of the money used for the donation or the investment needs to be in one bank account. So when you're doing the application, sell the crypto or sell the real estate or transfer the money before actually doing the application. In the case of St. Kitts, they are not okay with selling cryptocurrency and using the profits from those sales to pay for the citizenship. In the case of Antigua or Dominica, they're actually a lot more relaxed about that. You can sell crypto, use it to pay for Malta as well. If you're doing the high-end $1 million donation, then you can also sell some crypto, but you need to have that money in the bank for doing the application. And it all needs to match. It can't be a bank account that you started a week ago, you randomly send the money there. That's gonna trigger a lot of red flags. They're gonna ask for a million other documents. So make sure, if you can, use one bank that you've used for a long time. If you can't do that, make sure that the bank that you are using is easily accessible. If you can't do that, then make sure that you call the bank and clear all of this up before even doing the application, and make sure that you have the balance in the account. It's extremely important because I was hoping to do the application in about 3 to 4 weeks, and it took me about 2 to 3 to 4 months to actually get it done, because I had to go back and forth to do all of this. And also, attached to that are the police certificates. When it comes to doing the police certificate, you need a police certificate for the places where you're a citizen of, the places where you've lived more than 12 months in the past 10 years, and places where you're a resident. So for example, I had to do US FBI police report, which is quite a tough one. I can help you with that. You can book a call. I'll help you go through that process. I had to do a Ukrainian police certificate because my wife is Ukrainian. I have a residence permit there. And I had to do a Dubai UAE police certificate. So if you've lived, for example, in any country in the past 10 years, maybe you lived in France for a year, maybe you lived in Indonesia for 2 years, you need a police report from that country where you lived. So you do need to make sure that maybe that country is not accessible right now because of the restrictions, or maybe that country, you just don't have any contacts there, or you're not planning to travel there anymore, maybe you had a job there or something. Make sure that you can get that police certificate because they will ask for that. In the last 10 years, wherever you live more than a year, they're gonna ask for it. Wherever you're a resident, wherever you're a citizen, if you have multiple passports, if you have a passport from a grandma or something, make sure that you can get a police report from that country. So the two things that really made a lot of difficulty in my life were the banking, that was the first one, so that's why I mentioned it in this video, and definitely the police reports. Make sure that you have all of this sorted before going through with the application so that your life goes a little bit easier and a lot faster. If you want help with any of this, acquiring a citizenship or just going through citizenship by investment, or you just need help with structuring your life in a much more free way, lowering your taxes, traveling abroad and moving abroad, click that first link in the description, book a one-on-one call with me. I help people lower their taxes, get a second citizenship, move abroad, and live a freedom lifestyle. And check out the video that's gonna pop up right here. It's the top 10 citizenship by investment countries around the world right now. You can check it right here, the current and the upcoming citizenship by investment programs. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell and that like button, and I will see you on the next video.